The Sun. Every year, the Sun bombards the Earth with 5.5 times 10 to the 24th power of joules of energy. That's the number 5.5 followed by 24 zeros. The world total energy requirement in 2008 was over 1,000 times smaller than this number. We are gradually taking advantage of this massive source of free energy. The wind is another example of an untapped free power source, and so is the ocean. South Africa has an abundance of and is rich in natural energy resources. With concerted overall investment plans, these as yet mostly untapped resources will be used for clean, environmentally friendly energy generation. Climate change is a real issue and one that we as South Africans are experiencing already. To reduce CO2 emissions, which are currently the biggest contributor to adverse climate change, South Africa has set a target for renewable energy to contribute about 10,000 gigawatt hours of energy per year by 2013. Eskom is advancing its investment in the renewable energy generation mix, which will promote a favorable environment and climate. Whilst 85% of Eskom's power is generated from coal, Eskom remains committed to reducing its emissions by 2030 by diversifying its energy mix and implementing energy efficiency programs. Renewable energy in South Africa is set to become a reality as Eskom has secured funding from key financiers to execute its first two large-scale renewable projects, a wind farm near Vredendal and a concentrating solar power plant in Uppington. Eskom wishes to thank our financing partners, African Development Bank, who is supporting its regional member countries, including South Africa, to catalyze innovative climate-friendly energy solutions. Agence Française de Development, which has embarked on a broad climate change strategy since 2005, which includes emerging countries. The AFD's support to Eskom's renewable program dates back to 2007. European Investment Bank, which regards as its top priority climate action, both mitigation and adaptation. In 2010, lending for climate action reached 30% of all EIB lending. KfW, the German Development Bank, which has supported solar energy since the early 90s and is willing to assist South Africa in going solar. KfW believes Eskom can make a significant contribution to make solar energy the technology of choice for Africa's future. World Bank, whose objective it is to jumpstart the renewable sector and pilot the largest utility-scale solar and wind projects in Africa. All this funding is anchored by the Clean Technology Fund, whose implementing agents are the World Bank and African Development Bank. The Clean Technology Fund, CTF, promotes investments to initiate a shift towards clean technologies. South Africa's SRI, or Solar Radiation Index, is one of the highest in the world. In other words, we as South Africans get a lot of sun, and this potential has not been harnessed to any significant extent. Research conducted by the Department of Energy estimated that 23% of the needed 10,000 gigawatts target of the resource plan could be contributed by solar water heating as a form of renewable technology. In 2008, Eskom started a subsidy of up to a 40% rebate for the purchase and installation of solar water heaters. On average, 6.4 gigawatt hours per year have been saved because of this intervention. But while solar water heating is contributing to reducing the energy demand, Eskom is exploring a means of generating electricity rather than just saving it, using the power of the sun. A concentrating solar power plant, or CSP, rated at roughly 100 megawatts based in the Northern Cape Province is one such sun harness. Given our high radiation index, a CSP plant makes perfect sense. And with new technology advancing the ways in which a CSP plant operates, the potential returns on energy could be significantly increased. This technology gives us a benefit of storing energy in molten salt and using it to generate electricity when there is no sun, for example when it is cloudy or at night. This option provided a possibility of higher utilization. There is another technology that has lower implementation turnaround times, a technology called photovoltaic, which also uses the free fuel, the sun, when it is available. And it all has to do with another acronym, solar PV. photo meaning light and voltaic meaning voltage. In other words, converting light into electricity. The solar panels are really a battery of hundreds of thousands of these solar PV cells. It generates no noise and has an added bonus, it generates zero pollution. Letabo and Kendal are two power stations which already utilize solar PV panels. Megawatt Park in Johannesburg, the head office of Eskom, also sports the panels. These installations differ slightly from one another. At Letabo, the panels have a single-axis tracking system. This allows the panels to follow the sunlight all day long. Kendal Power Station makes use of a fixed-axis tilt system. Megawatt Park will install both systems, one on top of the parking canopies, a fixed-axis system, and the other on a dual-axis tracking system. In all cases, these solar PV projects will reduce traditional consumption by supplying power to the auxiliary loads. These projects have been implemented to reduce Eskom's carbon footprint at existing facilities. Harnessing the wind has been a focus at the wind farm in Klipierville, just north of Cape Town in the Western Cape. The farm has proven itself as a viable means of energy generation. Klipierville consists of 3 units, 3 massive turbines. It was built between 2002 and 2003 as part of an exploration into wind power. Thus far, the plant has provided valuable insight into operations and maintenance best practices, performance data, wind averages, storage systems, and a plethora of other functions. In fact, the demonstration was such a success that a 100-megawatt facility in the west coast north of the Olifants River mouth near Kukunap is now being designed. It is called Sarah. At this stage, Eskom estimates practical wind potential to be sufficient to install 5,000 utility-scale wind turbines, generating, depending on turbine size, a potential of between 5 gigawatts to 15 gigawatts. As with solar power, the obvious limitations of wind power is that if there is no wind, there is no power, and the system might have to rely on alternate power generation sources to meet demand. Apart from these 2 abundant natural resources, our massive coastline hides another potential source of energy: the ocean. In 2002, Eskom concluded an oceanographic survey regarding such energy supply and concluded that it was a viable option to explore further. Sea, sun and wind. We have them all in great abundance in our great country, and with Eskom dedicated to researching new technology and bettering existing methods, we certainly can look forward to a cleaner, brighter future. Eskom is committed to reducing its carbon emissions by diversifying its energy mix and implementing energy-saving initiatives. Let us remember our power to switch off when not in use.